Simon May Cry. That could be the title of an episode related to just Castlevania lore. Because to be fair, out of all the Belmonts, Simon is easily one of the ones that has suffered the most. Because like most Belmont descendants get to fight Dracula like once and it's over. They beat his ass, they send him packing, and he stays in hell for another 100 years before anybody can even try resurrecting him again. All's good, right? In those 100 years, there's like 2 generations of Belmonts that are just trained to fight monsters normally. So, you know, like lesser vampires, werewolves, other creatures of the supernatural world, that sort of stuff. But, and then, you know, by the time the 3rd generation Belmont comes around, since the last time Dracula was defeated, Dracula's back, and we gotta do the whole thing again. But Simon, in his lifespan, had to fight Dracula twice. And that's just not fair, man. He fought him once, in Castlevania 1, beat him, you know, rid the world of Dracula's bullshit, like his ancestors have done before him. And then, because Dracula is a very funny individual, he goes, "Fuck you, Belmont, I'm tired of your family's shit." And he curses Simon. And by cursing Simon, he makes it so that in the second game, in order to rid himself of the curse, Simon has to find the fragments of Dracula's body, because when he killed Dracula, Dracula had like a sort of fail-safe spell in place where upon his death, his body would just like get split into several different parts that would just transport themselves to safe locations guarded by his followers. And if those parts were then reassembled, he could be resurrected again, but before the 100-year time gap had to pass. So not only did he have that set up, he cursed Simon with his, like, dying breath. So that, I think the curse was that Simon would either turn into a vampire after a set amount of time passed, or he would just turn into some sort of ghoul or undead creature, or outright die after a few days of defeating Dracula. So, the entirety of Castlevania 2 is you, as Simon, going to all these locations where Dracula's body parts have teleported themselves to, reassembling them yourself, resurrecting Dracula, so that you can kill him and break the curse. Because the only way to break the curse would be defeating Dracula, but Dracula's fucking dead. So you have to resurrect him and kick his ass again. And this time, it breaks the curse and he stays down for 100 years. No other Belmont has ever had to deal with that. Sure, Richter was possessed by Dracula, but it was a quick thing. Like, he went in the castle, tried to fight him, lost the fight. Well, technically he didn't lose, but Dracula was not exactly down for an account just yet, caught Richter off guard, possessed him, and then a couple months later, Alucard had to come in and save his ass by beating the shit out of him and having Dracula stop possessing his body. Then Alucard killed Dracula for another good 100 years. Christopher Belmont, who is Simon's grandfather, had to defeat Dracula and then defeat his own son, Simon's dad, because his son got possessed by Dracula. But it wasn't like Richter's situation, where after Richter stopped being possessed, Dracula, due to having possessed him, managed to resurrect earlier than normal, and Alucard had to fight like an actual physical version of his dad again. With Christopher's son, it was more a case of Christopher had to fight his own son and defeat him, and then he banished Dracula's soul to hell, so Dracula didn't resurrect. He was just hitching a ride in the body of Simon's dad. I think that's how that goes. So, still kind of sucky, but still not as bad as killing the dude, getting cursed, having to go through all the effort of resurrecting him, only to to kill him again. Considering this is literally the strongest supernatural entity in your universe, a dude that makes the devil himself shit his pants just by being, you know, mentioned, and you just killed him. You went through all this effort to kill him, and now you gotta bring him back to kill him again, because he decided to curse you before he died. Simon's had it rough. Simon May Cry would have to be a whole ass episode delving into the lore and timeline of Castlevania ancestors and successors to compare how much each suffered at the hands of Dracula. See if Simon truly is the one that suffered the most.